Hey everybody, Bungzy here with another ultralight review on ultralight backpacking. I just recently reviewed Thermarest's new wing lock inflation valve, which they released with much fanfare, while adding it to all of their bags, I think all of them. Check it out. Link up above to my video if you haven't watched it already. While there's nothing wrong per se with the new wing lock valve, I'm not at all a fan of Thermarest's marketing tactics in pitching this new valve. Again, check out my prior review for the ins and outs on that opinion. While the wing lock pitch fell well short of expectations, it did open Pandora's box for me into exploring ways of inflating a Thermarest pad without relying on my lungs. Inflating my pad is definitely my least favorite chore on the trail. The temptation was just too strong. Imagine never having to turn blue in the face at the end of a long day, filling a pad in the heat, in the dark, or the cold, wind, rain, while under attack from mosquitoes at 10,000 feet elevation. Could it be achieved without losing your UL cred? So while the wing lock and its included pump sack didn't measure up to its pitch at all, it did lead me to testing the Thermarest branded pump sack, which was designed to work with its traditional twist valve. If you haven't seen that video, you'll find my review of it, the Thermarest pump sack, up above as well, which they call their Neo Air pump sack. This pump sack comes in at 3.17 ounces on my scale. Again, check out my video where I hack this down to 2.36 ounces. So, with the addition of 2.36 ounce pump sack, you can avoid 20 miserable breaths each and every day on the trail. Well, after publishing this video, one of my viewers suggested I check out Nemo Equipment's pump sack, which they call their Vortex Pump Sack. Unfortunately, it was on back order everywhere, but no, not anymore. I got my hands on one. Could a pump sack designed by Nemo for Nemo's proprietary valve, which doesn't look anything like Thermarest's traditional twist valve, somehow work better with Thermarest's valve than Thermarest's own pump sack? Should we take a look? Before I forget, I've thrown some links to both the Thermarest and Nemo pump sacks in my video description down below for anybody who wants to take a closer look. Let's start though with weight. The Nemo pump sack's advertised weight is 2 ounces, but it actually came in at 1.94 ounces on my scale. And again, the Thermarest pump sack weighs 3.17 ounces before any hacks and 2.36 ounces after some pretty severe hacks on my part. So the Nemo pump sack is lighter. Any way you look at it, hacks or no hacks. Now let's talk about the nesting. How well the pump sacks connect and stay connected to the pad's valve. Unlike the new wing lock pump sack, which is delicate to put it very nicely, both the Thermarest Neo Air pump sack and the Nemo Vortex pump sack both connect well and stay connected to the traditional Thermarest twist valve. Yeah, the Nemo pump sack nests well with Thermarest's traditional twist valve. Go figure. It will not decouple accidentally. Let's now talk about performance. Believe it or not, this actually gets a little complicated. The traditional Thermarest pump sack basically works by you scooping the bag through the air and then quickly grasping and closing the fully open end to capture the air, which you will then force through the valve and into the pad. And you keep doing this until it's full. Hardly scientific, but in my test, it took just under a minute to inflate the pad using this technique. I go through all of this in more detail in my earlier video that I mentioned dedicated to reviewing this product. The Nemo Vortex, on the other hand, follows a completely different approach. Stick with me on this, but does anyone remember when Thermarest launched their speed valve inflation system a couple years ago? Look familiar? You gotta give Thermarest credit for not resting on their laurels. It turned out to be somewhat of a bust, as many of the speed valve equipped pads would leak through the night. But anyways, The reason I bring it up is because Nemo seems to have adopted the technology that Thermarest used in these pads in creating their Vortex Pump Sack. The Vortex takes advantage of something called the Bernoulli Principle. Instead of a wide open end, it narrows pretty dramatically to a neck, if you can see here, about a third the width of the bag itself. Instead of waving it around like an idiot, you instead gently just blow into the opening from 6 inches away. We're talking a blow far less than the effort you put into blowing out a candle, if that helps you put in perspective. A slow, gentle blow. It's important, though, that you're not closer than 6 inches. Here's the science, as best as I understand it. The incoming breath creates pressure inside the bag that is lower than the pressure outside of the bag. The bag doesn't like this, so it sucks in additional air to better even it out. So it's kind of like a multiplier effect as a bunch of air is sucked into the bag behind your breath. In fact, you can see this in the video, I hope. One gentle breath results in far more than a gentle breath's worth of air being captured in the Vortex bag. So how well did it work? Let me reset the yardstick again. By mouth, I personally can fill my standard pad in 20 all-out miserable heart-pounding breaths. How long that takes entirely depends, though, on my tolerance at the very moment for suffering. Call it at least a few minutes. Alternatively, the Thermarest pump sack took just under a minute to fill my standard pad. Besides a small blow to top it off at the end, it required no huffing and puffing, just a bunch of goofy arm waving, like you're trying to catch a fly in a bag, which is no big deal. The Nemo Vortex, on the other hand, took 3 gentle breaths, plus 1 to top it off at the end, spread out over about a minute as well. So I would say the Thermarest pump sack and Nemo pump sack are equivalent in time savings and effort level to fill a pad, at about a minute again. Personally, I wouldn't consider either arm waving or 3 gentle breaths being harder than the other. So they're equally efficient, and equally pleasant, if you will. Price-wise, the Nemo pump sack costs $32.45, and the Thermarest pump sack costs $29.95. I'd call that difference a toss-up as well, which leaves us with weight. The Thermarest pump sack, again, weighs 3.17 ounces out of the box. After some pretty aggressive hacks, you can get that down again to 2.36 ounces. The Nemo pump sack, on the other hand, weighs 1.94 ounces right out of the box. If you're a gram weenie, you'd probably consider that 1 1/4 ounce difference a significant difference. I do. So taking that all into account, yeah, I think the win goes to Nemo. The Nemo Vortex Pump Sack is a better option for filling a Thermarest air pad than Thermarest's own pump sack. Go figure. So thumbs up on this product. Is an extra 1.94 ounces in your kit worth avoiding arguably the most miserable chore in each and every night on the trail? That's your call, obviously, somewhat subjective, though I can pretty much guarantee you that your buddies will line up to borrow it after they're done making fun of you. That includes you, ultralight jerk. As I mentioned, I have links to both pump sacks in my video description down below, should you want to pick one up. Well, that's it. That's all the time I need, and I hope I gave you something to think about, as always. Please help me grow the show by hitting the like button and clicking on the Bungzy logo floating on my screen down there somewhere to subscribe if you haven't done so already. It helps me a ton. Appreciate it, and I'll catch you on my next ultralight review on ultralight backpacking.